Hello, you Mayhem makers. I'm Mindy with Quilting Mayhem, and welcome back to another Mindy's Monday Live with tips and tricks. And today I wanted to talk about pressing. There's always lots of questions like, do I press with steam, without steam, starch, no starch, wash, pre-wash? Like, we get all kinds of questions on how to get your fabric ready for your project. So I thought I'd go over some of the basics, definitely with ironing and pressing. So I personally, and remember, all of this, you get to choose what you want to do. I like using steam, and I usually like to use starch, depending on the material. Now, as you get into fancier synthetic materials, these rules don't always apply, so please be careful and test fabrics before you do ironing and those kinds of things, especially with non-cottons. So what I'm going to talk about today, we're talking quilty cottons, those kinds of things, all right? So we're going to stay more in the quilt realm of how to take care of your fabrics and get them ready for your quilt projects, or even pillows and those kinds of things, as long as you're working in cottons. So that is kind of my disclaimer for this topic of discussion, is that we are talking nice easy fabrics to work with. You start getting into silk and polyesters and you get a little tricky. So I have some things to show you that we usually recommend to help with getting your projects ready. So I'm going to first start with wool mats. So starting with your pressing surface. All right, you can use an ironing board. You can put on top of your ironing board a wool mat. They do come in all kinds of sizes. This is why it's Mayhem Monday. So we've got them as small as 4 inches, or this is 4 by 4.5. And then you move up. So what's nice about these smaller ones is you can pack them, take them to your classes, retreats, or if you've just got a really small space or a really small project, these are great when you're trying to conserve space. What's nice with the wool mats is they retain that heat. As you're using the heat of your iron, it will hold on to it and kind of heat your project from the back side as the ironing is heating from the top side. So these are helpful. And then, of course, you get into bigger squares. And then I have personally at home one that is this size. This is what I love. I actually don't use an ironing board. I have, it's like a kitchen island on wheels. So it's not very large, but I like it because it has all my stuff underneath, all my pressing stuff and other crap catching stuff. And then it's just this nice little size. I can move it around in my room wherever I need it. I can tuck it out of the way when I don't need it. So this is what I use versus an ironing board, and I love it. It really does seem to get all my seams flat. It helps get my fabric flat, all of that. So I do like having the wool mats. If you have a wool allergy, though, this is not going to be a happy one for you. So I do know a couple people that have a wool allergy, and you would have to cover it. You could put, like I have a piece of muslin just over the top of mine to keep it from getting dirty, because muslin's easier just to switch out. So you could do that, but you would still have to touch it to cover it. So just keep that in mind. If you do have a wool allergy, either plan to cover it or find something different. And just, a good old ironing board is great. I do recommend adding some extra padding. A lot of them seem to be kind of thin, and so it doesn't give you as much support when you're trying to iron. So if you're frustrated in ironing and you're just using an ironing board, no extra padding or anything, that might be something you want to look into. We do have things like what's called Insulbrite that you can add extra layers of padding to your ironing boards. That's what we use here in the store. If you've come to our classes and you see we have IKEA tables, they are covered in a piece of batting, a piece of Insulbrite, and a piece of muslin, and that way we can just change that muslin out and we just keep recovering it, and you're not using an actual ironing board. So there you go. Break all the rules, throw out the ironing board, create your own. Just kidding. You can, if you've got an ironing board, use it. Those are nice for the bigger pieces of fabric when you're talking yards and yards and yards. That is a lot easier. I'm just a little spoiled. I can come to the store when I start doing big pieces of fabric, and I'll come here to do all my pressing. So at home, I just have a nice little station. All right. So that's just a helpful tool to help get your fabric flatter. It is doing that extra heat, especially doing blocks. The one trick also is that you may leave your block on there for just a little bit until it cools down. Let it that heat keep working on your seams. And some people even use a clapper. I forgot to grab one of those, but Taylor's clapper is just a piece of wood. It will hold that seam down. It will hold it to that mat or to your ironing surface, and just really make it sit and be flat until it cools down. And so there's all kinds of tools. If you really want flat seams, there's all kinds of stuff you can do and all kinds of tools and things that you can use to make them really super flat. I don't know why, but I do love a good, nice flat seam. Now, for me, I am a starch user. Like 99.9% of the time, I use a starch spray. Now, most of the time I have just our Quilting Mayhem mist bottle. I do like this because it's a finer mist. It's a more continuous mist. But you can keep refilling this bottle as many times as you want. And then what I do is I do a mix. So I take, and you can do it in any kind of bottle. I just like how fine the mist is in this because I'm also a heavy sprayer. So when I use, say, Best Press, the mist isn't as fine with the Best Press sprayer as it is with the mister bottle. But my combo is using Best Press, which I do love. Best Press has a nice starch firmness to it. They also have one that's called Best Press 2. We must be out of it because it's not here on the stage. And you can get unscented, you can get lavender, you can get some different scents. But I use a mix of 1/3 of Best Press and then 1/3 of water and 1/3 of flatter in whatever scent I choose, which right now pineapple is my current addiction. I do love all their scents are really good, but if you have sensitivities to perfumes and things, they do have an unscented option. Also, scentless. So you could do unscented Best Press, unscented flatter, and water. You just do it 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, mix it in the bottle. The nice thing with flatter is it's good at getting those wrinkles out. So that's why I do the combo is one does a little bit better on the wrinkle releasing, one does a little better on the starching, and so the mix between all of them just for me makes a really nice mix. And I do that water dilution just because, like I said, I am a heavy mister, and I don't want mine super stiff most of the time. Now, there are times when I do want that heavier starch, and that's when I have discovered Magic Spray. This is my new favorite. So Magic Spray definitely is a stiffer spray. I don't dilute it. I haven't played with mixing it yet. This is a little bit newer in my sewing studio. I just have this bottle, and this has a decent mister to it. It's kind of between the Best Press and our mister bottle as far as how fine the spray is. And this definitely, this is a stiffer mix. So what I was told, the person that was like, you need to start bringing this in, told me, like, the small pieces that you're trying to work with, makes them nice and firm so you're not having to fuss with them as much. It gives it a good crispness to it. So they use it a lot of times for applique pieces, that kind of stuff, where you really want to be able to manipulate it and not have it be super floppy. You need that firmness. And the nice thing with the Magic Spray, like I have the bottle at home, but they also have this cute little travel size. So once again, retreats, classes, those kinds of things, you can just have a little bottle, or traveling, especially if you're trying to get on a plane, that kind of stuff. And they do come in a refill bottle. So if you're like me, who goes through a lot of starch, stock up on the refill bottle. Same with Best Press. Best Press also has the bigger gallon jugs. You can get it in lavender or unscented with us. We usually carry both. And if you didn't know, you can bring us your bottle, your empty bottle, and the Best Press and the unscented, we will refill. And so it's actually cheaper than buying a whole new bottle, a little bit better for the environment because you're not throwing away, you know, all these spray bottles. Bring your empty one to us. I don't remember, I should have looked up the cost. I forgot. You can call us, we'll let you know. But for cheaper than buying a whole new bottle, we will actually refill it for you here in the store. So just bring that empty bottle. We charge just a nominal fee for that to refill it, and you're back ready to go if you're not wanting to buy your own large gallon bottle in your home. And then, of course, flatter comes in all kinds of scents. This is a newer mint. I love this one. Wild mint. There's Celebration. There is Fig. Fig is another one of my favorites. I kind of rotate through some of those. And Yuzu. And so Yuzu, I mean, they're all kind of fine. Some are a little, what I say, a little more aggressive, a little stronger. So, which I have some issues with perfumes. So I try to stay a little more mellow, and that's why I stay more in pineapple or fig, because I'm diluting it. Like, it's only 1/3 of it to the other 2/3 of water and Best Press, so it's not as strong a scent, but it does make your project smell nice. Every time you iron it, just kind of releases that scent, which I love. And then, of course, irons. Irons matter. You can use your Costco find, your Black & Decker, all those kinds of things. And there's all kinds out there. Play with them, try them. It depends how much you want to invest in your iron, but keep in mind, this is your project. You're going to use a lot. Like, I use that iron a lot. So there are all different kinds of options. And of course, there's also, like, we have little travel steam irons, which are nice. Once again, retreats, classes, those kinds of things. And these ones, they're good. They're still get really hot. They can still steam if you like steam. And you do that with a little wool mat, and you can just be right there at your little sewing station in class, pressing all your stuff instead of having to go share, an ironing board with everybody else in the group, right? And then, of course, we do carry the Oliso irons. And, so this is Tula Pink's new one, and I just love this guy. I'm addicted. I may need to take one home. Not that I need another iron, but I love her little detail on the bottom. And Oliso, it is a great iron. I love this. Please don't feed the fish. But you do want to put water in it. So this one will steam. What happens with the Olisos is they do pop up. So they have little legs, so your iron can always be down and ready. And then the legs pop up so you're not burning your ironing pad, ironing board, wherever it is. That iron has those legs, and so you're not burning wherever it's sitting, but it's ready to go. Like, it's always hot, ready to go. Up to 30 minutes. You walk away longer than 30 minutes, it will shut off. It doesn't want you burning your house down. But you can leave it upright, you can have it face down. It's got a lot of different settings. It will do your synthetics, all those kinds of things, and they're good workhorses. They're built well. We do love them. And then, of course, we have all our LauraStar irons. I love these irons. They are fabulous. We'll make room. Sometimes it's hard for me to work in all these cramped quarters. So this is the LauraStar Lift. So this is the one that's a little smaller, a little more portable than, say, if you've watched my other videos showing you the full ironing system. So we do have also with the board and all of that, and the water's in the board, all that. I figured I didn't really want to show that huge behemoth today because I've shown it before, but I do love the smaller one. So the Lift has water in it. It does operate like an actual iron. It will steam, all that kind of stuff. And it has a good hot steam, but it's not where you burn yourself. It's a dry steam, more like. And I like that it's a little easier for versatility, and it just has that water, the bigger container of water, so it goes a little longer. You can also get a cart for it, and this will work on any surface. So instead of you being stuck with their ironing board, you can just take one home, have it on a cart, and then what's nice is you can also use it to steam clothes if you have the cart. So you can, hang your shirt, steam, use it for clothing, use it for projects, take it to your ironing board, iron your projects. Like, there's a lot of versatility in this unit versus, your other iron. It's a little harder to be steaming clothing with that, where this will definitely not only steam it, get those wrinkles out, it actually will sanitize it. These are magical. I love these. And so, yeah, you can get the cart that then will hold it, and then once again, you tuck it away when you don't need it, pull it out when you do, which I kind of like because my sewing room gets very cramped and I run out of room. So that's a lot of info. And also keep in mind when you are pressing fabrics, trying to get those wrinkles out and all that kind of stuff, and especially pressing quilt blocks, you're just going straight down with that iron. You're just actually pressing. You're not going to push and put some force into it. You are just a nice up and down motion with that pressing. That's what's going to get you less warp in your fabrics and your blocks, all that kind of stuff. So let your iron do the work. And you don't have to use steam if you want to. There are a lot of you out there. You like a nice dry iron. You don't want it spitting water, that kind of stuff, because you can run into problems if you don't keep your irons clean. And definitely the cheaper irons have more issues of calcifying and just getting some gross stuff in it if you don't keep it clean, and then it will spit on your project, grungy water, and it does bad things. So keep in mind some of those kinds of things when you're picking your iron is what's going to last, what's going to work for you in your project, and making sure you're keeping it clean so you're not running into those issues with your project. So that is why a lot of people prefer not to steam, not to have water in it, because they just don't want to run into that problem. I just like that steam seems to work better. So that's why I choose steam. And of course, starching, a lot of times it's really just to give it a little more firmness, get it ready. And because I starch everything is the same tightness, because the starch will kind of tighten up those fibers in there. And then once you wash everything, it will loosen all out. But because I do all of it, I don't notice any issues where some pieces are bigger than others, all that kind of stuff. I don't run any problems. So I am not an anti-starch person. I just say be careful of like grocery store starches, older starches. Not all of them are really meant for fabrics like quilts, where they get put in hook chests and those kinds of things. Because some of them, you know, especially back in the day, they were potato starches, those kinds of things, and they attracted bugs. We don't want that. So the ones we have here are definitely free of those types of products, so that you don't have to worry about them attracting bugs and all of a sudden getting moths and those kinds of things in your projects. So that's why we recommend these brands, because we know they're tested, they're true, they're all good. So those are some of the tips and tricks of pressing, that kind of stuff. And I hope we answered some questions for you. If you have other questions, feel free to reach out. Email us, info@Quilting Mayhem, call us at the store, come see us. You can, message us through Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, all of those things. Like, subscribe, follow, all of that. Keep us going. We love having you here, and I hope you have a lovely day. Keep on stitching.